If I could get Mr. Parker to lead us in prayer and Commissioner Bazette to say the pledge for us.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Lord, thank you for this day. It was a beautiful one, and thank you for this fellowship that we have here tonight, Lord. Guide us in our thoughts and our decisions. Be with us as always. And thank you, Lord, for all the many blessings that you've bestowed upon us. Amen.
Amen.
Has everyone had a chance to look over the regular commission meeting minutes from 11/1/16?
Did I take yours?
Yes, sir. All right, so I need a motion to approve.
To the last.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Motion passed 4-0. Is that okay?
Commissioner, I wasn't here on the special meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of November 7th.
Got a motion?
I'll second that as well.
Got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to abstain because I wasn't here.
All right, motion carries 4-0, 3-0. I don't believe we have a PSJR update this week, do we?
No, sir, I don't believe so.
We had a meeting 2 weeks ago, so we won't have one tonight. And we have an update from our city attorney.
The only thing I have is on the funeral home. Mac's lawyer has filed basically what is an appeal of the city commission decision. It will be reviewed by the circuit court judge, John Fishel, at some point in the near future. If he determines that there is no basis for the action that they brought, then he'll just dismiss it. If he determines that there is a basis, then he'll issue an order to show cause to the city, and at that point, we would make whatever arguments would be appropriate at that time.
Okay.
So that's where we stand. There's nothing that we have to do or can do at this point.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gibson. In old business tonight, we have RFP 2016 legal services. Jim?
Yes, sir. We actually discussed it last week at our special meeting on there. One of the items that we were looking to address was in the proposal about compensation. In the initial one we had, it was on a monthly basis. If you'll turn over to your folder, I did go back and talk to a couple of other cities. This is some of the numbers from the area, come back from the school boards. These are based on hourly plus retainer. So you've got to make a decision as to how we want to do this in RFP. If you want to base it off on a monthly basis on there for 1 year, 2 year, based on the amount of your contract, or do you want to do it on an hourly plus retainer? One of the other things that was brought to our attention was the first paragraph in, let's see if we turn over to on page 5. One of the things is, it indicates, let's see, just a minute, on page 7, preference will be given to those submittals demonstrating extensive successful experience in Florida municipal and land use law. That's one thing you got to decide if you want to keep that in or not, or if you want to pull that.
Where are you at, Jim?
On page 7 of your agenda.
Under scope of work.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No, it's under intent. The
Yes,
third paragraph,
intent.
first sentence of the
Okay.
third paragraph.
Yes.
With what page?
7.
Page 7, the first sentence under paragraph 3, preference will be given to those submittals demonstrating extensive successful experience in Florida municipal and land use law.
I think we're severely limiting our pool if we do that.
And being I'm the mayor tonight, I may not have a say in this, but I feel as Commissioner Ashford feels on that.
Because you're going to look at the whole scope.
We want to look
these
at the whole
anyway.
scope and all of us,
So
get
that
our
was
minds
something.
together on that. So if we could, I don't know, I'd like to see us maybe a little lax there, and let's just look at everything and see where we stand at the end of this.
So you, agreed to strike the first sentence?
I think so.
I think so.
Okay.
I need a motion on that.
Let's go ahead and, if you can, Mayor Pro Tem, let's go ahead and look at, the other question was about how we're gonna advertise as far as the fee structure on there. If we flip over to page 10 of your agenda pack, under proposed fee structure, at the special meeting, we're looking at, do we keep it as it is, or we try to change it to hourly rate plus a retainer fee?
Guys, yeah, y'all give me y'all's idea on everybody first on that. Let's all kind of just throw it out there.
My kind of idea, just talking to Jim a little bit, I'm on the side of a retainer and then hourly, and the main reason is because I just don't wanna be nickel and dime. Every time someone, one of us, or staff, or even a member from the public calls our attorney, and they bill us for a certain amount of, minutes or hours or whatever, but, I just wanna kinda hear everybody else's.
But that's gonna happen if you do the hourly rate. If you do the retainer and the hourly rate, that's exactly what you're talking about happening.
Well, Rex, if we put commissioner field and commissioner phone calls as part of that scope, that would be included in the retainer, wouldn't it?
Well.
I mean, I'm
I
with
don't-
you. I think, if I call Tom 10 times in a week, but each call is only 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm getting billed 15-minute minimum every time I call, I don't want y'all to be upset with me when I come in here and our accountant says that I just cost you $1,000.
There's a handout in our folder of the contract of, another county around, that they do the retainer includes, regular monthly meetings without additional billing, basically is what that amounts to, and anything else after that's your hourly rate. And so we need to make a decision on that, but we could control the hourly rate by, we could try that. It's a 2-year contract. We could try it, and if it gets out of hand, we could certainly, just back off somehow as far as our,
I just want to encourage open communication between the commission and our attorney. And I don't want to do anything that would make us second guess whether we should call or not based on money.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
and
my
I agree
concern,
with
is I
that.
don't want to be afraid to, oh my gosh, are we going to get charged for this phone call?
But it can get out of hand, as Commissioner Lowry said, if we're not careful. We've been fortunate for the last, how many years, Tom?
50.
50 years of being able to call our attorney and never get billed for it. You look at some of the bills, so we've been very fortunate, so, it's gonna be a new ballgame for us. So, we've got to be careful, but we need to go ahead and do something, because time's of an essence.
Let me ask y'all, do we need to do something, or is this something that we can, this part of it, I haven't completely taken my time and went over and examined. Is this something that we could bring back in 2 weeks after we all studied it and looked at it, or do y'all think we need to go ahead and do something tonight?
I think we need to make a decision. I think if we go out, I think Jim's suggestion was 6 weeks, 5 weeks,
Normally what we do is
Advertise it.
at least 15 days with the once a week paper on there. If you get it to the paper next week, you're gonna have a short week, I would imagine, because of the holidays. I think we were looking at closing it out on the 9th of December, so that didn't give you a whole bunch of time. So.
Yeah, that being said, we probably should.
Probably so.
And I think, guys, there's a difference between, me just calling and asking the attorney a question, and then there's another difference if you ask him to try to do something for you. Tom, I called you about something about rezoning, and that took some research. I think that we ought to be billed for something like that. But if I just ask you a question, is it possible to do that? You you say, I don't know. You should tell me, from this point on, you have to be billed for it.
I mean, what y'all have been doing in the past is a retainer and an hourly rate. And the way we've always operated is, if you call us and ask a question, that's part of the retainer. But if it is gonna be something that gets into some time, we'll tell you. And if it's something major, it can come back to a board meeting and the board can decide whether we do it. I mean, that's the good side of an hourly rate is, in most cases, you've gotta tell your attorney that you want him to go do something. I mean, if you have a flat fee of, $25,000 a year, or $50,000, or whatever it is, you're gonna pay them that, whether they do that much work or not. And so I think most attorneys are real comfortable with hourly rate. It's also something that, after you've looked at the qualifications and ranked the people you want to talk to, that's somewhat negotiable.
So looking at, third paragraph under proposal submission, do you have a suggestion how we should word that?
I'd have them make you a proposal, whether it's hourly rate, whether it's flat fee, and
So you're comfortable with the language there?
So you're saying, say, a proposed set fee or hourly rate and retainer, and/or?
I mean, personally, I don't think anybody's gonna give you a set fee, because, 1 year you may pay me $25,000 based on the amount of work I've done, and the next year it's gonna be $50,000 because circumstances have changed and the amount of work has changed, and you can't tell that in advance.
Sure.
So, I mean, if I was voting on it, I would go retainer and hourly fee. You got more control over that. You get, if the work gets done, you pay for it. If it doesn't get done, you don't have to pay for it.
Does that seem to be the wish of the board at this time, guys?
I agree with that. That's what we've
Yeah,
been used
so
to.
we're looking at page 10, number 3.
Paragraph.
Paragraph 3.
Paragraph 1, I guess, or sentence 1. All right, do we need to move forward with a motion on this to move forward? All right, we'll have a motion.
So let me clear this up. So under that, we'd say proposed set fixed fee that inclusive of all service costs for the identified scope of work and general spec payable in equal monthly installments for identified legal services, at an hourly rate plus a retainer fee.
Yeah, that's what you need to do, is take out fixed fee.
Proposed an hourly rate and
Retainer.
retainer fee.
That is inclusive of all of the services.
Okay.
All right, so whatever motion we make, y'all, do we wanna make it on?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we send out the RFP, and under the proposed fee structure, it reads, proposed an hourly rate plus a retainer fee that is inclusive, blah, 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 the rest of the sentence.
As well as striking that third sentence,
Excuse me?
on the first page. We're gonna strike that sentence out
Yeah,
as well.
right, correct. You wanna make the motion to strike that one that we talked about in the beginning too?
Yes.
All right. Now, that's
Absolutely,
what your
we
motion-
all pretty much agreed on that, so,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's my motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0.
Jim, so you'll get that, it'll get out this week.
Yes, sir.
Do you foresee us being able to get the results and recommend something, or get the results to us by the next meeting? The next meeting looks like the 6th.
No,
Or
sir,
we
if we close
possibly
it,
have to call it the workshop.
we will, we're gonna
I
have to
mean,
call a
another
special, or
meeting.
we need to decide what we're gonna do in our second meeting in December. Traditionally, around the holidays, we do or we don't, depending on what our workload is. We'll get the results on the night, so as soon as we get those, what we'll do is we'll make a copy of all those, we'll get them out to y'all for the weekend, so you can have a chance to look at them, and as soon as everybody feels comfortable, they've had time to look at them, we can call a special meeting, or if y'all have the regular meeting for you to make that decision. That's the one item that I can see going down towards the holidays that we're gonna need to make a decision on.
So well, tomorrow being Wednesday, so there's no way to hit the star this week, are we going to advertise in the News Herald also?
Normally, what we do is we advertise 2 weeks in the local paper and 1 time in the Panama City paper, if that's appropriate. That's what we're doing.
And that's a normal procedure,
Yes.
that's fine.
All right, the next item on the agenda tonight is Christmas on the Coast, December 10th at 6 Eastern Time. Jim, Ms. Charlotte, one of y'all wanna speak to that?
We have everything in motion. We'll get our posters and our entry forms delivered to our businesses tomorrow. We're having a number of people express an interest in it. Some have submitted entry forms, but everything's moving forward.
Thank you, Ms. Charlotte.
Yes, sir.
On new business tonight, we got the Seed Today LLC Lagoon Enzyme Trial Presentation from Mr. John Grossi.
Grossi.
Come on up, sir.
All right. Who gets a copy over here?
Please. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. You betcha. Thank you for having us tonight. I am John Grossi, CEO of Seed Today. We're the bug company, or the biology company that's been working on your wastewater treatment pond over by the bridge. What I want to do today is just bring you up to date with what we found, what we think the potential path forward is, and some choices that we think that you got. I got a lot of slides here. I'm not going to go over the slides and read them for you. I'll just highlight kind of what I think is important. But we spent the last 4 months really trying to characterize your pond and figure out what was in it, what it was made of, that kind of things, how deep it was, where it was deep, where it wasn't deep. And we were able to do that. While we were doing it, we also had an odorous algae bloom that was in the pond. It's a slimy algae that comes to the surface. And so we chased that a little bit with our biology and took care of that. We also sampled the pond, the sludge, and sent that out to a lab for analysis to understand how much organics were in it, how much inorganics, as our product only goes after the organic side of anything that goes in the pond. And then we did a 4-week test where we actually took in the northwest area of the pond, there's a Google Maps view of your pond. There's a little red area that we actually focused on. And we did a sludge judge and a sonar test of the depth of the sludge both before and after the 4-week period. And then we're also looking, there's a lot of side benefits to the biology that we've seen in different locations. So we're just looking at what other changes are going on in the pond during that time frame that were positive. So the second page then is the results, or actually third page. And I just say that it was very successful. We did choose that northwest corner of the pond. We did measure, your pond depth is between, I'm sorry, not the depth, but the depth of the sludge is between about 7 to 8 feet, actually 5 feet or so up to 13 feet. And it's the deepest on the influent end of the pond. So that's where all your new solids are going in there. It's also composed of 2 layers. There's about a 5-foot layer of old mill waste that's in the very bottom. And then on top of that is the sewage waste that's been going into the pond after the mill stopped. We sent the samples out, and they took samples out of the part that we were going to actually do the work on, and it came back, it was about 60% inorganic, 40% organic. So if you think about it as the organics go into your pond and work their way down to the effluent side, you got all the normal biological processes that are working. So that was a pretty typical what I thought it would be at that end of the pond. When you get to the influent side, there are going to be a lot more organics just because that's all the fresh stuff that's going in. So, we did a bioactivity test. So what we do is we take our biology and we took a sample of the pond, and we took both a sample of the mill waste and the sample of the sludge. And both of them, we would term it as have a moderate reaction to it. So it was well above what we would say is a threshold for what we want to see as far as the activity of our biology with the organics in those wastes. And the interesting thing is both wastes were about the same as far as activity went. So we really didn't notice any difference. So what that says is that once we get through the organic waste, the waste, water waste at the top, we will go in and we will start consuming that, the old mill sludge that's down there as well. The 4-week test that we ran, we put biology in twice a week for those months. We're continuing to do that. In a 4-week period, we saw an 8-inch reduction in the sludge in that part of the pond. So that's pretty typical for what we've seen in most of the wastewater ponds that we've done. The other thing that we saw is the pH and TSS, which is total suspended solids. pH is whether you're an acid or a base, and you guys tend to run fairly basic. So you're well above 7. And in both pH and TSS, you guys have been outside of your permit levels for quite a while. And once we started, within a couple of weeks, both those came back in, and you're now running within your permitted levels for the effluent from your pond. The other thing that happened is the water quality has been continually getting better, and there's just now thousands of little fish going in, swimming around there doing their thing, and the bird activity is a lot more. The water's clearing up, and really what it is that the health of the water in the lagoon is improving, and so you've always had a little bit of fish, but they've been in an environment that wasn't that good for them, and you've also got a lot of food. And so what happens is that as you clean the water and you improve their environment, all of a sudden you've given them a great place to live, and they live in the buffet, so their population just takes off. And that's part of the overall health of the pond and the overall process. We have seen a few blooms of algae that have actually happened since we started, and that's actually good algae. There's some algae that are bad, which are more of the anaerobic species. But once you start getting the pond health up, you're going to get some blooms of algae as we start consuming the layers of sludge in the bottom. And we start, anything that was in the water when the sludge was deposited, when we go back through and we eat that, that's going to go back into the water. And it's a food source. And so we've had a few blooms of different kinds of algae, but they've all been good algae. And they're oxygen producers, and it's part of a healthy overall pond system. So those two things I think have been, really, for me, was really important as far as seeing the results. And we've seen it in other places as well. So what you can expect, if you do the full pond, and I'm going to talk about you got some options at the end, but if you do the full pond treatment, the sludge will continue to reduce. And probably, depending on where you are in the pond, it's going to go at different rates. Obviously, in summer, when the water's a little warmer, it'll be a little faster. In the winter, it slows down a little bit and be a little slower. But overall, you'll see a continued reduction in your sludge levels in your pond. The water quality still has a ways to go, but it's getting better. I think you'll see that continue to improve. You should expect that both your pH and TSS will stay within your permitted levels. I mean, it's just part of the byproducts of us working on and making your pond healthy is those tend to improve. Your odorous algae blooms that we saw, the ones that started, those should not happen. And if they do, they'll be very short-lived. And basically at this point in time, we've finished all of our testing that we're going to do. We don't need to do any more testing. We've got all the data. And so once we stop treating, which we committed to you guys that we would treat through December, which we were going to do. But once we stop treating, you've got about 6 weeks before our biology will actually start going inactive. And it could be a little bit longer. It just kind of depends on what species and what the conditions are. But our biology, if we don't replenish it and with reacclimated biology, it will taper off. So what will happen is you'll end up going back to kind of where you are right now. The other thing that I think is based on what we saw with the amount of solids, organics and inorganics you got, if you were to go ahead and do the process, you're going to at least push your need for dredging if you're going to do it at least 25 years out, which puts you well past gives you a lot longer to respond to potentially what you may have to do, as well as there's a good chance it could be much longer than that. It's just, a lot just depends on what people put into the waste system. I kind of talked a little bit about the next page, so, you know, I think, you know, you'll be heading back to the same previous conditions that you were in. Now, talking to Kevin, the one thing he was questioning, and I don't think you guys have gone out for any bids, but he said, do you have any data or any other clients that you work with that you got anything around dredging costs or anything like that? And we actually do a mill, we characterize a mill in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, very much about the same size as your pond. They only dredge the very bottom 10 acres, and they do that every 2 years. And it's basically running about $2 million a year to do, or $2 million every 2 years to do the dredging. It's a 17-foot deep pond. That back area basically kind of fills up, and they dredge that. So I just said, for this analysis, kind of when you look at it, is let's just say you get the smoking deal and you get, you know, your whole pond done for $10 million. At $10 million, if you do just the scaling part of it, it would be about $15.5 million. And I, you know, this would obviously, it's Louisiana versus Texas versus Florida for you know, who does that. So the next slide, I think you've got 3 choices that I saw. So one is to do nothing, and if you do that, on that one end, you're getting pretty deep. You probably have, I'll guess, but you probably have in the next 5 years, you're gonna have to start dredging and doing something about treating the solids at the bottom there. You could treat the entire pond. The costs actually were higher than what we initially thought, and it's just the size of the ponds and the amount of solids that you got. But the startup cost would be about $160,000, and then a maintenance cost of about $26,000 a month after that. And I said on the other end of the spectrum, you could just treat the influent pond side of the pond first, so where you have most of the solids coming in, and just do that part, and that'd be about $14,000 a month to treat that. I'd say the only thing that I would want you to consider on timing is that, you know, we've done a lot of work for you already that hasn't cost you anything. If you let this go probably more than 6 weeks or so, we'll have to go back and repopulate a lot of what we've already done. You're gonna lose that part that we've done. So those are the choices. And then I was just looking around just for potential funding sources, and 3 that I'm new to this, so you have to humor me a little bit, but, you know, obviously city revenues need to fund it. Waste disposal fees is a possibility, or state or federal grants is also a possibility. And I did talk to Bill Evans in Pensacola with DEP, and he said you guys have a really good grant writer for the city, so there may be money out there from another source. And then the back pages are just all the data. It shows the area of the pond that we treated. It has the locations that we tested in the test area, and then it has the lab report showing the solids versus, or sorry, inorganics versus organics.
Mr. Grossi, I appreciate you coming tonight. What I'm gonna do at this time, I'm gonna turn it over to the commissioners and let them, talk it over and see if anybody has any comment on it. Does anybody up here on the board have a comment? Mr. Grossi?
Mr. Mayor, I mean, to me, this is a whole lot of information and even a whole lot more money. I think it would be best for us to kind of sleep on it and talk with Kevin individually as a board, and then, I guess ask Mike his thoughts on where we're gonna find that kind of money. I know that inevitably we're gonna have to dredge this pond, and this will buy us some time, but it is a lot of money. You know, we can't afford a full run of filters to give, you know, to keep our water plant fresh and filtered all the time, so, this isn't an isolated problem. There's just not money there. And I don't think anyone on this board wants to go up on our rates as far as the water and sewer goes. I'd love to have it. I'd love to have a Ferrari too.
Yeah.
I think this is just best at this point. Let us read over everything, talk to Kevin, talk to Jim, and see what the options are. If we can get a grant, I'll sign up tomorrow. But it's not an easy thing that you're asking us to do.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I would say this, first of all, thank you for the work that you've already done. Sound like it's been very successful. We're small community, we run on a $14 million a year budget. And looking at this and your proposal, that almost takes 10% of the entire budget just for this one project. And frankly, we don't have it. We've already budgeted everything we could budget this year. I don't know where we would come up with that kind of money. From my point of view, I don't wanna lead you down the primrose path. You know, tell you like it is, it's gonna be awfully difficult to pull this off.
Yeah, no, I understand. I just, like I said, is that, you know, as we got into the pond and seeing what we were actually gonna have to do to remediate the solids in it, I think if you look at the cost of doing the dredging, if you're able to push that off, that's probably a good thing, because it's a whole lot more than what it would cost you to use our solution. But it's, you know, it's one of those things that at some point in time, you're gonna have to pay the piper. And it's really, you know,
Yeah, and that's why the other guys say, well, let's look at it a little more,
Yeah.
talk her up, see what we can,
Let's look
we
at
can work.
it, see what kind of great opportunities.
Yeah.
Be a great alternative if we could come up with money easier. So,
And, do you have anything on that?
No, not really. I appreciate you doing so.
I definitely appreciate it, and, it's not over, let us look at it, let us talk to Kevin one-on-one, and, talk to our grant writers, see what we come up with, and,
sounds good. If there's any way we can help you, we really enjoyed working with Kevin and his staff. You got some really great people, and it's been a pleasure doing it for the town.
and I would say this too, from my point of view, and hopefully Kevin's, the success of this trial, if you wanted to use us as a reference down the road, I certainly think we could probably give that to you.
Great, appreciate it. All right, thank you very much.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is utility bills, Commissioner Bezet.
Yes, sir. About 2 months ago, I had an individual call me, a little upset that he could not discontinue his water service over the telephone. And I got thinking, well, we're in, you know, a technological era that seemed like technology would allow us to do something different to make our system a little more user-friendly, connect and disconnect. So I'd been talking to Jim and his staff, and we've been beating around some ideas. What we're gonna need to do, I think, to get all the commissioners on board with exactly how we do things is have a workshop. I'd like to see if everybody would be agreeable to have a workshop. Not only the system we use for connect and disconnect, how we charge connect and disconnect, the getting a handle on our past due accounts. We've got right now about close to $170,000 of past due utility bills, and if we could collect half of that, that'd go a long way to, you know, helping our budget in a lot of areas, as well as helping possibly at some point in time lowering the utility rate. So that's what I'd like to do. I mean, we've got the keys to the faucet, so I just don't want to let us continue going down the path we've been going and accumulating a lot of past due. And I don't think it's necessary. I think we can find ways that we can do a better job with that. So not criticizing the staff. We've been doing it the same way for years and years. I think maybe it's time to find brainstorm a better way. So with that being said, I would like to sit down and with staff, with the billing department, Carla, Jim, who's been doing it for a long time too, and see if we can figure out a way to make it better. So that's the reason I brought it up. I'd like to call a workshop at some point, if it's agreeable to the rest of you guys. Today is November the 15th. What's your guys' schedule look like?
Commission said at this time with the utility bills and having the, workshop on it, but this time of year, it would be hard for me to say exact date on that.
Well, we got holidays, I know Thanksgiving, and we got Christmas, and we got the attorney thing.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have a problem waiting the first of the year.
Yeah, that's what I would do, and maybe about that time the mayor would be back. And that being said, too, let me just say this. If we are owed money, it's because people are having hard times.
Oh, yeah.
The rates we pay in this community are higher than anywhere else, just about in the state of Florida. So I'm gonna be kinda hard pushed because I fall in that same category at times, not being able to pay my own bill. It's tough.
Well, I agree,
And I'm not-
and that's why I wanna find a
My
way
willingness to probably do anything any different, if our staff is working with people at that sum, and they've worked with me in the past, I'm not willing to do anything. And so, on that, I would like to see us, roll it down the line the first year, and we all get together and talk about it.
I don't have a problem with workshopping it in January, we got the holidays, but we do need to do something, find a better way, if we can find a better way to help folks that are having a hard time, that's fine too, but in order to get lower rates, we're gonna have to make sure that we get a handle on our revenue stream.
I agree with that, but we've saved, I don't know how much money in the 4 years that I've been on the board, and we've yet to lower any rates, so I kinda doubt that would happen. I mean, we're set in a situation to where we got it, where it goes up every year as part of the, water study we got, so I don't wanna give anybody false hope on that.
Oh,
Next thing on the agenda tonight is the employee appreciation dinner. And that's under me, so, I do have some good news on that. I met with John and, Mr. Jimmy Rogers, day before yesterday. And, John's getting some prices on the meat and everything we're gonna do. We're gonna all do it in-house kind of, and, but I will say at this time, if it's okay with you guys, we've set a preliminary date for, December the 16th. That's Friday at 6 o'clock. And, what I would like to do though, y'all, now that we've got this, we brought this up, is, allow John to get some numbers together on this, what we all put together. And, we don't wanna take money out of taxpayer money, but see if John's got some scrap that he could, take in and, cash the scrap in to help pay for this party. And, if that's okay with you guys, I probably need a motion that we, allow John to do that.
well, are you talking about the city purchasing like steaks and then
Yes.
have a covered dish, is that what you're talking about? Okay.
I tell you what it is that we talked about, and y'all tell me, but steak, baked potato, corn on the cob, salad,
Okay,
sweet tea, unsweet tea.
okay. So not a covered dish, city just take care of all of it?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, I'll make a motion.
All right, I got a motion, I got a second, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Next thing on the agenda tonight is the Ward Ridge Building Improvements by Commissioner Ashbrook.
And all I needed is just to follow up and see if we've had an inspection, Jim, on this building.
We have contacted our inspector. He's not had a chance to come out yet to do that for us, but yes, sir, we are trying to look at that. I think we need to look at the possibility of insulation. I'm not sure there's much insulation here as we can remember from the summer heat that we had in here. The units have been serviced, but they're not brand new. The electrical needs to be.
And I'm, make a few comments about that. You guys know my stance from the get-go would be to sell this building. We've got a tenant in here now, the dance group, doing a great job. I got 2 granddaughters, I know how important that is, that's important. I think we've got some members that have children that dance out here. With that being said, we rented them a room in this building a while back for $500 a month, and they pay the utilities. Well, it appears now that we're almost renting from them, because it's all the way out to the hall. We're running a $14 million a year business here and trying to make important decisions for all the citizens of St. Joe. And we have cute little girls dancing around behind us all during our meetings. It's a little distracting to me, and I don't want to sit up here and be the ogre, but they're they come and go, and we need to do something. Either put a petition up over the glass doors or whatever, but I know most of you guys out there don't see it, but we're sitting up here during the meeting and we see it all the time. So I just think one thing I would like us to consider is the young lady that's head of the dance studio here. Make her a reasonable offer. Make some good terms. Let her buy the place. She could have she's almost got it all now. So let's contact her and see if she's interested. We could use the money and do a whole lot more with it than the little bit we're getting now. She could have a nice facility, and so that's what I'd like us to think about. Other than that, I mean, we got to figure a way that we can have a good meeting without distractions. Now, we may want to talk to her and see if she would not have her dance on Tuesday nights. That would work for me. That's something I'd like for y'all to think about before we go spend a lot of money on renovating the building.
And I've said all along, I'm not dead set one way or the other, so I definitely think it's something we need to think about, guys. So
Well, I think
I want to do the right thing.
I think in the interim, the easiest thing to do would just be to ask her that lobby's off limits during meetings.
Well, that's the only way they come and go.
Well, they can come in, that's fine. Just go back to your class. Don't be dancing in the hallway. That's all I'm saying.
So, anyway, yeah, and that would be fine, short of a curtain or something like that, up there, but, it can be distracting. I've had folks sitting in the audience that brought it to my attention more than, we don't hear it, we see it. These guys hear it, and, but on the broad side of it, let's talk to the lady. I understand that, is she a resident of the city, or is she resident of Lake County? She lives in Panama City. So I'd like to approach her and see if she's interested, and then if she is, then we can talk about price. But we certainly need to do something.
Sounds good to me, guys. Okay, the next thing we have is public works. I don't see John here, so Jim?
There's the one thing you will see work being done on Garrison Avenue. We are preparing the road to be paved from 71 to 16th Street. So you'll see point repairs on sewer that's taking place the next 2 weeks. The plan is to get started the first week in December. Also, we got some good news today. Northwest Florida Water Management District. If you flip over to your manila folder, we got a letter today. We got approval for $80,000 for water improvements. This is part of the money that we applied for water line improvements in Northport St. Joe. So we did get $80,000 commitment today. So we still haven't heard on the CDBG grant, but $80,000 will buy us a lot of pipes. So.
Absolutely, and that $80,000 we get regardless if we get CDBG or not.
To keep us busy this next year, yes.
Absolutely, great.
Good to.
All right. next thing, item on the agenda is the surface water plant, RFP 2016-09 membrane filters request to award bid.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We actually came in under budget on this too.
Did a good deal, good deal. All right, Mr.
Like your
Baker.
approval.
Thank you.
So moved.
Second?
$99,220, is the amount. And,
What did we budget on that, guys?
$100,000.
Well, we like it when that happens.
It's easy to match the numbers on the budget.
No doubt. So I need a motion
I made it.
and got a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Wastewater plant,
It's time to renew our permit, and it's one of those deals where it takes a PE to sign off, so, this is one of the things that Philip Jones in the past has written our permit. We need to do the same things coming up here. You got to have the permit in 180 days prior to, so we need to do this whole meeting.
Have you worked with Jim and Mike to figure out where the money's coming from? This was not a budgeted item, as I understand.
We have not.
I have discussed it with Mike on there. If we do have some money, we'll have to shuffle a little bit around, but it's one of those things we're gonna have to do. It's due every 5 years, one of the things we unfortunately did not think about during the budget cycle on there. But we do have to renew it every 5 years, so it's one of those things we have to do. Philip did help us out 5 years ago, so he has the knowledge and skills to get us to that point to do it, so, recommendation is to get Philip started on this thing. And we do have some money for his, contractual services for, independent companies, and that's where that money's going to come from. So we'll have to pinch our pennies this year, but yes, we're gonna have to do it.
What was that amount again?
I believe it's $14,000.
all right, guys, I guess I need a motion on that, Jim, to,
Yes, for the task
let's
order.
move forward on that.
I'll make a motion. Go ahead and approve the 14,000.
I need a second on that.
I'm gonna second it, even though it's not.
We gotta do it.
Not
We
budget,
can't not
we gotta do it, we'll make Kevin squirm a little bit, but, we do have to do it, and I trust the staff will
Listen, y'all
rob
don't do
Peter
me
to
like
pay
that.
Paul on the thing, so.
Alright. I got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0.
And the next thing is we have, went on the state contract and looked at trucks, and I got a bid for 2 trucks, one for wastewater and one for water. We had budgeted 22,000 for the vehicles, and they come in at 22,700, $700 above. You know, the bid price.
So you got about $8,000 left?
So, yeah, about 700 over the truck, so.
So
that's as good as
you
it
can
gets.
find that 700 in your budget somewhere,
We'll,
and I assume that Larry can maybe find it in his.
That being said, guys, can't go back to them and sharpen their pencil, $700 worth.
we tried the whole, if we got 2, you know.
Right.
Get a deal for 2, yeah.
State
Didn't work,
contract,
state
right.
contract,
Didn't
okay.
work.
We were actually trying to see if we could find a leftover 2016, but we didn't have any
Yeah,
luck
we
on
had
those.
to look through
They're
those.
already gone.
Okay, well, we gotta have it.
Motion by,
I got a motion by Commissioner Zet, I need a second. Second by Commissioner Ashbrook, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Next thing is city engineer golf cart crossing, I don't think Mr. Small was here.
No, sir, he's not, but we did get some good news on the golf cart crossing. We do have a preliminary approval on it. Got a letter from FDOT yesterday, basically with a couple of stipulations. One being that we have to have signage, which we've already ordered that up, so hopefully we'll have that in the next couple of weeks. They also are requiring that the red light intervals be changed. They want to slow it down for the slower vehicles, so that has to come from FDOT, so they have to send down their engineers to look at the light, to change those intervals on there. Once we have those 2 things in place, they should sign off within 30 days on there. So it's not open yet, we don't have the go ahead to open it up, but it should be open within 30 days.
so, have we contacted the state about the light?
Yes, sir, I've talked with them, that is their responsibility. They are sending their traffic engineer ops down to take care of the interval section of it. We have already ordered up, for Mr. Willie Ramsey, we went ahead and ordered the two
But
sides.
did they give you any time frame? They'll be here next week or a month or what?
He said hopefully sooner than later, but if you look at the letter, it said, hopefully within 30 days.
That's all.
So that's what we got.
Jim, we have on this, since Clay's not here, we've got the Garrison Avenue paving, 6th, 7th Street drainage, Frank Pate Park, boat ramp improvements, and Long Avenue.
Yes, sir.
Do you have an update on all those, or we
Yes,
just
sir, I
like
can give you-
pick and choose? Okay, go
I
ahead.
can give you an update on Garrison Avenue paving. We talked earlier, we're doing point repairs to begin work. The 1st of December is our goal on that.
Okay,
6th and 7th Street drainage, Mr. Smallwood has presented a set of plans to, Mr. Grantland. He is reviewing it now. If you wanna come by and take a look at those, please come by and give us your opinion on those. We're just now starting the review process on those, so we do have a set of plans in play to review on that. Frank Pate boat ramp improvements, those have been submitted to FWC for their blessing, so we can bring it back to you. We've gotta get that thing out to bid to get this thing done before the spring fishing season, so as soon as we get the blessing from them, we'll be ready to go out to bid for a
well, and
contract.
if you, I feel like everybody feels the same way. We need to call a workshop or something, once we get that numbers. If we're a week off from a meeting, we need to go ahead and do that.
Absolutely, as soon as I get approval on that, I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
The last thing is Long Avenue. That is part of the road bond project that we're working on. The first aspect is the water line. Clay is working on that. We haven't seen anything yet, but he is working on the water line.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
So,
Thanks, sir.
next item is code enforcement. Has everyone looked at that ever? Okay, so let's move on to the police department. Chief,
Thank you, sir. I don't have anything unless the board has questions for me.
anybody got anything for Chief? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Ms. City Clerk?
I think we have everything moving forward for the Christmas parade. I do have a request from Diana Seeley Burkett. She has asked that City Hall provide bell ringers on Friday, December 16th, from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m., We have a vacancy from 10 to 11 and one from 5 to 6. And she said that a number of the commissioners had mentioned to her last year they would be happy to ring a bell. So if one of y'all would like to volunteer from 10 to 11 on Friday, December 16th, or 5 to 6.
Well, Friday, December 16th is gonna fall on the night of our
Yes, sir.
Christmas party, so can you talk to Diane and see? I'd be more than happy to ring the bell. I did it for an hour or two last year. I don't mind doing that, but the 16th would be out for probably anybody.
Okay,
in
what about the
city.
10 to 11 that morning? Does anybody want to
I
take
can
that?
run it.
You'll take that one?
Yeah.
10 to 11 that morning?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And everything else has been filled by City
That
Hall?
is the
Okay, great.
Friday the 16th.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Bissett. Any citizens to be heard tonight?
I just have a question for the chief. Chester Davis, 22 I just wanted to ask the chief a question about, we having a problem with the little off-road vehicles over there on North Fort St. Jude. And trying to come up with some ideas of what we can do to maybe offset some of that coming through the alleyways. And we realize they're running from you guys at the same time. But, you know, we need to maybe get together and come up with something we can do to offset that, because what happens is if they see the police coming one way, they'll run another way. But it's disturbing, especially when you got little kids in the road and, you know, and they're running without paying attention to the signs and so forth and so on. But it's an issue the neighborhood need to deal with. And I just need to get with you and maybe we can find some way to offset that.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
That's what we like. Me and Bob. Thank you, Judge. Ms. Lee?
Yes, good afternoon. Legal Narratives, 312 Avenue L. I know, the holidays is when the children in North Port St. Joe get those little vehicles that rides up and down the street, and I was wondering, maybe not this year, but possibly the year of 2018, come up with a place where they can ride those vehicles, without getting tickets, just a place that they could go and ride the vehicles, like they do in the bigger cities where they have those skateboards, something like that, for instance. And maybe just not on north side of Port St. Joe, but Port St. Joe in general, the citizens of Port St. Joe.
You're talking about little electric cars.
Yes, I mean, sometimes those little electric cars get to be big electric cars.
I
Yes.
agree with you, Mr.
Good
Let's
idea.
look at that, and you remind us to, I know you will.
Yes, I will, but you know, that's something you can, in the future, that we can take a look at to improve our cities,
No, I agree with that, keep our
Yeah.
children safe,
yes.
absolutely.
All right. You guys have a Merry Christmas, happy Thanksgiving, and a Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
I'll see you in January.
All right, thank you. Discussion items by commissioner, Mr. Ashbrook.
I have nothing done, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you so much for that. Mr. Lowry?
The only thing I talked about with, Mr. Anderson, was about the meeting dates and the holidays. That the last meeting of the month of December is, the 20th. I understand typically y'all cancel it unless something would come up. Probably we're gonna have to have a, special meeting due to the RFP on the attorney selection, so my thought, kinda wanna poll the board and see what the board's thoughts were.
I'd say move it up to the 13th, because we're gonna have to have it after the 9th, right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So if we just did it the first and second Tuesday of the month, I think that would work.
Be okay with y'all?
We could wrap up.
Then, that's the schedule for the, 5:15 DRA meeting, we just have to
We'll
do
keep it
that,
45
or
minutes.
either cancel that, it's according to what Bill has on his agenda that we need to,
We just might be able to keep it to 45 minutes.
Will the 13th give us time, Jim, enough time?
I think so, we'll get it on the 9th. So what we'll try to do is if we open up on that Friday, we'll get all the copies out, we'll try to get it to you for that weekend, along with your agenda pack. So we'll try to get to you as soon as we get it out. Maybe we'll close it a little earlier that day, maybe 2 o'clock.
I'll work with Bill on, see what he's got going on.
See what he's got.
I know he's got
Back that
some-
up 30 minutes or something.
Yeah, I know he's got
So,
some important things about Billy Joe Rich, park, getting all that started, cause he's
Right.
got some great ideas, so I know he's gonna want us to make some decisions, so. But I'll get with him and I'll get back with everybody on the meeting time for that.
Okay, sounds good. All right, Commissioner Bezet?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, guys, and, I'm good tonight. The only thing I wanna say is I appreciate all y'all sticking with me tonight. This is my first time being mayor pro tem, so I hope I didn't mess it up too bad, but, I appreciate y'all being here tonight, and I need a motion to adjourn. Thank you.